Welcome to Three Films and a Podcast, the show where destiny brought together three friends to enhance each other's cinematic journey by watching three new movies in a series of themed rounds. There is no claim of ownership on any film footage used in this episode, as all film footage is owned in its entirety by the copyright holders. And just like every car in Too Fast, Too Furious, this podcast contains spoilers. Enjoy.
All right, hello and welcome back to Three Films and a Podcast. My name is Tyler Beck, and I am joined, as always, by my dear friends Ben Lawhorn and Matt Weiler. And whether you, the listener, whether you are new here or you're an established movie club member, we really appreciate your support, and we are very, very happy to have you all here. And this week's episode, well, quite frankly, it's pretty surreal. And not just because of the movie we're here to discuss, but also because this is the penultimate episode of this version of the podcast, which is really weird to say, man. It's been quite the journey.
Yeah.
If you are a regular subscriber and listener, you know full well that we're going back to the drawing board and rebranding our show under the name Unsung Gems. But if this is your first time joining us, well, we'd invite you to check out our catalog of like 140 episodes or something like that. Pretty wild. Check us out on Instagram, all the socials at 3filmspod. We have a website, 3filmspod.com. Make sure you're following along so you can see updates about the new podcast as it comes to fruition. But if this is your first time, you're probably here to talk about the 1957 art house classic from Ingmar Bergman called The Seventh Seal. And as luck would have it, that's exactly what we're here to do.
Wow.
So let's do it, guys. We love talking movies. Right? It's a movie podcast.
Here we are.
So I wrote that on the document. I was like, we love talking movies. And I was like I don't know what else to say.
Let's put it this way. If you don't like talking movies, hit Control-Alt-Delete. Close your browser, close your laptop, because this isn't the show for you.
It's not for you.
We're talking movies.
That's what we do here.
Yeah. Matt always has been the Tyler translator. I'm trying to say something. I don't quite know what it is. That's what it is. Look, if you're not a movie person, you're in the wrong place. But if you are, we're happy to have you. So anyways, without any further ado, let's just get into it and let's wrap up our Legends round. So we've seen some weird stuff in this round, guys.
Yeah.
We covered Excalibur, weird stuff, and Legend, weird stuff. So, The Seventh Seal is certainly no exception. And I just, I want to hear your guys' impressions for all the normal reasons that I do, but also because I watched this like 3 weeks ago, and to be honest, I kind of barely remember it. So
Nice.
I'm going to be a really great addition to this conversation. Really bringing my A game here. But anyways, Benjamin, tell me about your experience and your overall thoughts, likes, dislikes about The Seventh Seal.
So this was, I think, my second watch. I was shown this, as you would imagine, in film school, with the history of film. And I had no idea then what I was watching. I was like, what is happening here? Like, this is very strange. Like, it's a crazy, is this the strangest round of movies that we watched as far as like the collection of movies?
It is.
It's gotta be.
Which is weird to think about.
I mean, it's all good, but it's just like, it's crazy. We've had Max von Sydow, Tom Cruise, and Helen Mirren, and it's just like, this is just such a mix of movies. But this is, we're going out with one of arguably the best movies of all time. This was the 11th entry into the Criterion Collection.
Wow.
So, we've covered their second entry, which was Seven Samurai. We've covered a few of their movies, but this one was early on. They're just like, this one needs to be done. And I think it makes sense, and they've re-released it a few times. Like, it keeps getting the new like Blu-ray, 4K release, all that kind of stuff. So the first time I saw this was in school, and my brain wasn't ready for it. I don't think,
I still don't think my brain's ready for it.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's just like, I think I got it. But this probably feels like something that just pays off from repeat viewings. I enjoyed it this time, having an idea of what we were getting into. After we watched it for my film class, I just remember there being some people who just like, it's like an analogy, like or a metaphor, whatever, like he's playing death for his life. It's like, No, that's not a metaphor. That's the movie. Like they're not being
That's
subtle
the
about that at
story.
all. He's like literally
Yeah.
playing death for his life, and
both literally and figuratively.
yeah, like there's not like a deep read here. Like it is what it is on the surface, which is like kind of cool. The visuals are great. And I think that throughout, I think the visuals are really good. I think this is interesting that this is Bergman's favorite film of his own, which I feel like we don't hear a lot of directors say what their favorite film is of their own.
Yeah.
But this
we hear
is
a lot
his,
of like least favorites, like Lynch's Dune and whatnot.
Yeah, stuff they'd probably like want to redo. Like I know Spielberg is really cold on Hook, which is just one of the craziest takes for me. But yeah, this is one of Bergman's favorite. He said it helped him deal with, death in and of itself, which is kind of cool. I think the performances are great. Max von Sydow's like really just wonderful in this movie. And yeah, I don't know. I was glad that you picked it. I think it's a good movie for us to kind of go out on. Speaking of, like, we also started this movie with a Criterion Collection movie of Do the Right Thing. We started this pod of Do the Right Thing. So, I'd say that we've bookended this show with some really good movies, but this is definitely a little bit more surreal, a little bit.
Yeah.
I think the story is really interesting, kind of cool how it pays off at the end, how he like kind of cheats death, but not for his own gain, it's just to help other people. And then, one of the fun facts I like is that last shot was just totally improv and added on at the end because they saw the cool cloud in the sky, and like a lot of the people in that scene aren't the actors because they were dead. Like they're just like extras or grips or whatever that got sent out in costume, I guess.
That's awesome.
Which is kind of cool, which is like, I just want to get this shot, and it's kind of rad. But the ending definitely hit me a lot harder this time, with them all in the castle and stuff, and the girl that was captured that kind of became his housekeeper, like her getting that one line delivery really kind of pays off, both with like the biblical sense and just in the literal sense of the story. So yeah, definitely probably the most straightforward movie that we watched in this round, to some extent. Those other two were just really kind of, I mean, I don't know if it's like straightforward, but it's I don't know. I guess I was able to stomach it easier. Maybe I respected it more, I guess, than the others. Was just like,
yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I felt the same way, like, because I mean, in all honesty, it's sort of like a pretty close cousin to the other movies we've watched. But for whatever reason, I think this is just trying to say something a little, well, either say something or not say something, right? Like, the actual metaphor of the movie and the the themes it's trying to get across is actually something you have to kind of chew on rather than whatever else. Since you so you said you took this or you saw this in your film history class, didn't they, and maybe you don't know this, but did they create the best foreign feature category in the Oscars because of The Seventh Seal? I felt like I read that somewhere online.
They may have. That's something I have forgotten about, if that's the case. But it wouldn't surprise me if that was the situation here, because I think this is just a universally pretty revered film. So it would make sense that they would do something like that for this. So
I think I had read that, but then Seventh Seal wasn't even nominated.
Yeah, it's kind
like they created the category in the same year that it was released, but Seventh Seal wasn't nominated. And was reading a lot of the popularity of this movie, or a lot of the importance of this movie is the fact that it sort of opened up American audiences to foreign cinema because it was so popular here in the States. So more and more foreign films were being consumed by American viewers. But Matt, what was your take? What was your thoughts and impressions of this movie?
Yeah, this is a first time watch. It's not as old as I thought it was. For some reason, like, as I had heard about this movie throughout my life, I thought it was like a very, very early, like 1920s, 1930s movie.
Yeah.
So when I saw it, well, first I like started watching the movie. I'm like, this doesn't feel like 20s or 30s. And sure enough, it's 1957. So, I mean, that was sort of a surprise to me. It didn't take away anything, obviously, but sort of like along with Ben, I feel like I would have gotten a lot more out of this if I were studying it in a film class and like took the time to really read the symbolism and what the director is doing with the storytelling and cinematography. But I enjoyed it. Like I enjoyed the whole thing. I thought it was very well done. It's obviously well liked for a reason. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff that pop culture has pulled from this movie over the years, and so it was cool to see where that began. A lot of it didn't land the same way because I'm familiar with it from how pop culture has sort of repeated it in different ways, and so I would have loved to have seen this for the first time. And I think we've felt that way about other movies where it's like, I wish had impacted me and been inspirational in the way that it was for the people who later used it as their own inspiration. But that's sort of my takeaway.
So I had to watch this thing over 2 sittings. The first time I tried to watch it, I just started it too late and I got about halfway through. So I actually watched this movie like 1.5 times. Nice. And if I'm being totally honest, the first time through, granted, I did start it too late and, that was a mistake on my part, but it's like, I was like, oh man, I'm not seeing it, like
start this one early, folks. Start this one early.
Start it early, be awake, be ready to pay attention and think a little bit. But I don't know. I just was, if I'm being honest, I was kind of dreading finishing it. Not dreading it, but I was just like, oh man, this is going to be it just felt like a slog. I just was like, I just wasn't into it, to be quite honest. But watching it all the way through the second time, it's a real slow burn movie. It's sort of, to me, it kind of starts off flat, and then after the second half, it really got. I really enjoyed the second half quite a bit more, and my enjoyment of it sort of grew exponentially as the movie went along. And yeah, echoing everything you guys have said, this movie has been on my radar for a long time because I've seen the still shots. That final shot you talked about that they improv'd, Ben, is iconic. Like, yeah, I wanted that on a t-shirt before I even knew what it was. You know what I mean? And the images of death and the death and block, the night block, sitting playing chess. Like, I had seen these iconic images, but so I really wanted to see how it fit into the movie. And if I'm being totally honest, I was expecting more of kind of a 12 Angry Men sort of device. I thought it was going to be literally them playing chess the entire movie, which is good. Which, when I say that out loud, sounds way more boring than anything we got here. But I was so excited for it because I was like, if 12 Angry Men is revered and it's just 12 dudes around a table, this movie's revered. And I thought it was going to be 2 dudes around a chessboard. I was so excited to see how this worked. Obviously, that's not the case. But, for you young aspiring filmmakers out there, maybe do your boy a solid. Give me the chess movie, right?
Yeah,
exactly. The one game chess
Tyler's chess movie. We should just have that. We should just have that as an ongoing working project amongst us 3. Like, we're in development of Tyler's chess movie.
Working on
TBD.
It right now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you just pull that out of nowhere, but that was the same year as 12 Angry Men.
Oh, really?
Because as we were talking, I looked up like, well, what was nominated that year? The Bridge on the River Kwai won Best Picture, but 12 Angry Men was nominated for Best Picture that year. But yeah, no sign of Seventh Seal at the Academy Awards at all. So that totally makes sense.
Have you guys seen The Bridge on the River Kwai?
I have not.
Is it an unsung gem? Could it be?
It might be now.
Might be. Let's get Steve on to talk about it. I feel like he knows about it.
He'd make us feel like idiots that we hadn't seen it. Like,
a little flash forward into the Unsung Gems realm, but I'm curious, can something be unsung just by virtue of it being old? You know what I mean? I think it can.
Yeah.
I think it can.
If people aren't watching it anymore, it's lost. Well, it's lost its tune.
If Steve will come on for The Bridge over the River Kwai, I want to see it anyways. So maybe we could work that into the.
I think we could get Steve on for far less than The Bridge over the River Kwai.
Sure. Okay. Well, how about let's do some elevator pitches. This movie, I feel like this is one that if you're a film guy, right, or you're at all interested in cinema or the history of cinema, and you're more than just like a casual moviegoer. I feel like this would be on your list. But let's say you run into someone in the elevator that's not interested in watching this movie at all. What scene are you going to show them on your smartphone the way Mr. Bergman intended to entice them to watch this movie? And Matthew, I'd like to start with you.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
I mean, speaking of on my film screen, I feel like this particular scene, I think Bergman imagined, on that small device. And that's when it's probably, I'm not trying to set the stage here. It's probably over 3/4 through the movie. They're with like the acting troupe, and there's that actor that like fakes his death, but then like death comes afterwards and like cuts down the tree. I liked that whole sequence. I mean, you could cut it right after his like staged death and like the reactions of everybody, because there's some funny responses to that.
Surprisingly really kind of funny, this movie.
Yeah,
like.
Like
more
it
so
felt
than
like,
I thought it was going to be.
It felt like some of those people were breaking the fourth wall. Even it's like, oh,
yeah,
that was to me. But I would potentially continue it on till he like takes off his fake beard, climbs the tree, and tries to fool Death, and Death just cuts the tree down.
Yeah, I like that. Because Death in this movie he's a silly fella. You know what I mean? He's not. He is creepy. He is eerie. And I've read some things online about people thinking that this version of Death is terrifying, but I didn't so much get that. I got more of like the weird guy that works the night shift at the cemetery vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Not necessarily scary. It's just kind of weird. Like he just happens to be the type of person that can do this job. So sure, send him out to play some chess with some people. I don't know. So I like that pick for sure. And I loved my memory of it. Again, I watched it like 3 weeks ago. And that was another problem I had with this movie is the second it was done, like it was all gone from my mind. I think honestly, because I kind of was having trouble just keeping up with what's going on, like dealing with the Swedish and everything. I'm just like trying to take it all in and really analyze this thing. And I was like, wait, what the fuck did I even just watch? Like, I don't even remember anything. So, but I do remember the scene of Death chopping down the tree. He kind of does it in like a funny, slow, like he's almost like laughing at the dude. Like he's almost playing with him. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Well, it's funny too, because he like walks out behind the bush, just like already carrying the saw.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it was like Bugs Bunny. That's kind of my memory of it. It was like for such a menacing scene, like it's brutal. He just cuts down the tree with a guy in it.
Yeah,
but it was.
He may as well just like pulled it out of his like robe sleeve. It's like, I've got my saw here. I'm ready to cut you down. So yeah, I like that scene quite a bit. Mine, I don't know necessarily why I want to pick this scene. I think I just really enjoyed Van Sydow's like performance here. But when he's like in the confessional thinking he's talking to a priest or whatever, and it's really Death the whole time, just like asking him questions. And then he's like, oh, I got him right where I want him though. I'm going to play this move and he's not going to see it coming. And then Death's like, oh, really? Just like, oh shit, you got me. It's like, what's going to happen
pissed.
Here? Like,
Van Sydow's mad. He's so betrayed.
Call him a traitor or something like that. It's just, but I just thought it was an interesting scene and just kind of hits home that even the first time I watched this, like with this time too, it's just like, oh yeah, like Death is like kind of a figment of his imagination. Like no one else can see him here. So it's just kind of like, this is what he is dealing with because other than the actor who then like can see stuff, who sees like, the Virgin Mary and baby Jesus at one point, it's like, oh yeah. Okay. Interesting. But that confused me the first time I watched it because we see Death.
I don't remember that in the slightest. I'm like, wait, that happened in this movie?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like super quick. But it's like the first time we meet the actors and they're all sleeping in that little like wagon thing. And he looks up and there's this woman walking by with a child. And then he tells his girlfriend, he's like, I saw the Virgin Mary. It's like, all right, dude, you're crazy, but okay, whatever. Like,
did you guys get
Roberto Benigni?
I forget his. Yeah, I was gonna say I got those vibes for sure. Like he had his Principessa and everything,
Yeah, he kind of felt like that for sure. But yeah, so he has that scene, but I like the confessional where they go into the church and his like squire is off talking to the other dude that's painting and stuff, but he just kind of does this confessional thing. And I just thought it's a well done scene, I think. And again, just like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull this move and it'll get him. And then Death is like, nope, not so quick.
Yeah.
He's like, now I know what your plan is. So he's kind of screwed from that point on. So yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I like that scene. And that's probably what I would show somebody.
Couldn't agree more. That was my backup. Pick. Well, I was like flip-flopping between the one I'm going to pick and that one. And again, it's another example of that goofball Death.
Yeah, right.
Just known goofball.
The original goofball.
Yeah. The original goofball. Good old Death, that silly goose. Well, so one of my favorite characters in this movie was the Squire. I don't remember any of their names, but Block's Squire.
Yeah.
I just thought he was really fun. I thought he was a cool character. Loved all his little quips, all his little philosophical points of view, his little songs he would sing, his sort of what's the word I'm looking for? He and Block don't have the best of relationships, right? Usually the Squire and the Knight, they're like best buddies, and it's almost like a doting Squire that's like couldn't be more proud to carry his knight's sword. But these guys, it's like almost begrudging, you know what I mean? It's like he's just bonded to this knight, and they don't really seem to like each other that much. I thought that was interesting. But I want to show the scene where the knight is in the chapel. It's right before the confession, when he's talking to the guy painting the mural in the church. Again, I don't really remember what was said, but I remember really liking what was said and what they talked about and thinking was really interesting, and was also a really good representation of like, obviously the themes of the movie. Here's where we kind of find out a lot about the plague the Black Plague is decimating the population. And we really get a sense of like I guess for lack of a better term, like the commoners or the everyman's perspective on what's going on, right? And they talk about the Crusades and the Black Death and all those sorts of things, and just sort of the commentary on religious messaging and those sorts of things. I don't know. I thought it was a really cool scene, and probably my favorite bit of writing in the movie. And yeah, I don't know. I just liked it, and that's also the point at which where I restarted the movie. So
nice.
I rewound back to that point so I could watch it again and then go through. So I figure if it's worth me watching twice, it's worth you watching once on an elevator.
Exactly. And I think 100%. It's interesting too, like I guess paintings from his youth were the inspiration for Bergman. Right. So like, I think that scene is very important to him. So it makes sense to show that to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Oh man, I wanted to think of a really cool, clever way to introduce our next segment because it's really so near and dear to our hearts.
Yeah.
And I was going to skip it, but I got a call from our patron saint, Mr. Adam Driver, and he's kind of pissed. We've been neglecting him. We haven't sent anyone to his drive-in in a while. So
in a minute.
For this last, well, I guess it is technically the last movie episode of 3 Films and a Podcast, we have to visit the drive-in. We have to go see Adam Driver, and we have to pick our dream double feature to go along with this movie.
I just had sex. I'm about to eat nachos. It's the greatest moment of my life.
And who went last time? Let's go with Ben.
Yeah, okay, I'll do it. Yeah.
What a great host I am.
Mine is like just they're completely opposite films, and I don't even think the one I'm picking is the best of the series, but going for the very visual reference that was made in the movie, I'm choosing Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey as their version of death was highly inspired by the Seventh Seal. And I just think that would be kind of funny to see the 2 different versions of death that look like this. Again, like I don't even know the Bogus Journey. I might make the argument that it's the worst of the series. Because I do love Face the Music quite a bit. And obviously Excellent Adventure is just a classic. Mm-hmm. But for that reason alone, I just thought it'd be kind of cool to see just one of the many references that we've seen it in pop culture or in movies in the future since Seventh Seal came out. And this just seems like kind of a lighthearted as you tried to like come to terms with what you just watched in the Seventh Seal and not understanding it. It's like, let's bring it down a little bit.
Shut the brains off a little bit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Let's have some fun. Everyone can party on, and we're just like gonna do Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. So that's my selection, strictly based on death. That's it.
A man after my own heart. Had you not written it down on the document, that was going to be my pick. But that's okay. Nice. I've got another one.
All right.
There's a compelling argument to be made that Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey might be the sequel to the Seventh Seal.
It's true.
And that Face the Music might round off that trilogy.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like that.
I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I won't, because I know you're right.
Get on here, Keanu. Tell us we're wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I dare you. Mine would be very actually similar, I feel like, in spirit to this one. And my pick is The Green Knight. Yes. Kind of you don't really have the personification of death per se, although that knight, the Green Knight himself, is kind of fills that role. For those of you who are unfamiliar with the story, the knight in the story plays a game with the Green Knight. I think it's Gawain. I'm probably saying his name wrong.
Yeah.
But
that sounds
Gawain
right.
plays a game with the Green Knight that basically, like, blow for blow, they play a game where like he will match any of his hits. And so Gawain, in his like own self-confidence, like beheads the Green Knight. And then the Green Knight just like laughs and puts his head back on. It's like, okay, now you have to come. You have to come meet me in a year, and and I'll and I get to do the same to you. And so it's kind of like a story of this knight is sort of like facing that reality that what he runs from, or whether he goes and faces it. And so it's not exactly the same, but I feel like the themes are sort of similar. And I thought that movie was awesome. My honorable mention would be, assuming that Tyler's not taking this one, Harry Potter 7. There's sort of a fairy tale element there that is seemingly inspired by this movie as well. This idea.
Nice.
I don't know that I've seen Harry Potter 7, so I can't comment. But the Green Knight is very much a sister in surrealism, I suppose.
Yeah.
I was looking for the right alliteration there, but I had a similar experience watching Green Knight, although I was able to finish it start to finish, and I was more enthralled the entire way through. It still was sort of like I would say like the Green Knight's like an acid trip, you know what I mean? Complete with its own acid trip in the movie. And it really is like a barrage on your senses, like trying to figure out what's going on. And the Seventh Seal is like the direct opposite of that. You know what I mean? It's almost like being sedated. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like,
it's got Joel Edgerton.
That's not the best way to sell a movie for sure. But like, it's a very slow burn, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at here.
Indeed.
But those are great picks. I love it. So speaking of slow burns, striking slow burns, I saw a video on YouTube. Perhaps we'll link it on our episode. Perhaps we won't. I don't know. That's to be determined. Maybe depends on what the intern's up to that day when we post this episode. But I'm going to pair it with Blade Runner. I watched a video where they were showing all of the influences from the Seventh Seal to Blade Runner. And there was some quote from Ridley Scott talking about the Seventh Seal. And so this person was making the correlations of how Seventh Seal influenced Blade Runner. And I just think it would be funny to make Ben watch both of these movies back to back, because both of you, because I just found out you don't like Blade Runner, or that you don't enjoy Blade Runner as much as I do. Let me say that.
Yeah, that's more.
And accurate. I will say, I get it. It is a slow burn, but these are both slow movies with striking visuals and heavy themes. And I'll watch Blade Runner 1,000,000 times before I watch the Seventh Seal ever again. So, we'll do Seventh Seal first, and then we'll do Blade Runner. But it's going to be a sleepy night. Take your edible maybe before the second movie, so you can actually make it through all the way through. Sure, bring a sleeping bag. Yeah, maybe we'll do like a half an hour intermission or like an hour long intermission for nap time.
I like that.
Serve some coffee, get everyone back up for Blade Runner. But that's where I'm gonna go. I'll admit that isn't the most exciting night, but for the true cinephile,
He's not selling
tickets.
Like he's selling experiences.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, look, we're done with Adam Driver's Drive-In after this. Our contract's up, so
yeah, we'll be fired.
If
it wasn't up, we'd be fired. Yeah.
All right, well, let's leave the drive-in. Let's head on over to Rushmore Mountain.
These are OR scrubs.
Oh, are they?
And we're gonna finish this off. I love how Rushmore changed from the beginning to the end of this thing.
Yeah.
It started off as one thing and it's been 5 different things in between there. And I think this last iteration of it is my favorite. It is the reverse Rushmore, where we each pick a category to what category would this movie best fit on? And I'm going to go first because to me it's the low-hanging fruit. It was the most obvious Rushmore category for this movie to fit onto. That's portrayals of death. I think instantly this portrayal of death is like etched on that Rushmore, unchangeable, just because of how different it is and influential it is, and like fun, for lack of a better word. Like death is kind of fun in this movie in a weird way. So I'm gonna put that on there. I can't think of any other to go along with it off the top of my head. I know they're out there. There's a bunch of them, but this is on there.
Bogus Journey, if you want
for sure.
Little placeholder.
Sure, Bogus Journey.
Now.
Wasn't there a cool? Doesn't Scrooge have like a really cool portrayal of death?
Yeah, the dude that holds him outside the window or whatever.
Oh
yeah.
Love that.
That was a pretty good one. I know there's a bunch. And I don't know. My recall is terrible in the moment like this, but anyways, that's where I'm going. Portrayals of death.
I'm
rolling. Seal.
Whenever
mine,
you guys let me know.
It's the first thing I thought of, so I decided to stick with it. I think it's interesting because I went with beach movies, and while this technically qualifies and arguably the most iconic or one of the most iconic shots from this movie does take place on a beach as they're playing chess.
LIMP.
We never return to it after like the first 5 minutes. Like we just we start out there and then that's it. But I just thought beach movies could get a good mix of things here. So I was going to do
when you think of this movie, you think of that beach scene, right? So
yeah, I mean the first shot we see of Death, with his arm out in the robe, just like flowing, like he's just there on the beach. Like it's just kind of how it goes. So I think it qualifies for sure. I just think we don't really see anything close to that again throughout the whole thing. But I thought Dunkirk might be kind of good to have in here. Maybe something. I mean, Jaws seems like kind of obvious, as one of the beach movies. And then just to mix it up, I'm going to go with Barb and Star, go to Vista Del Mar. I want more people to see that movie. I don't know if either of you guys have or whatever, or if any of the listeners have, but it's such a silly movie and I love it. So that's what I would do.
So what you're saying is insane.
Well, that was the other one. It was going to be Beaches or Jaws, honestly. That was going to be one or the other. And I was just like, I don't know. Jaws seems like maybe it's too on the nose, but the movie literally called Beaches might be more on the nose. I don't know for sure. But
I mean, look, you picked the movie Legend for the Legends round. So when have you been afraid for being on the nose?
I mean, yeah, I guess that's very, very true.
It's a device that progresses the story, period.
Yeah, maybe I'll just make it
Ben, are you saying Barb and Star something is an unsung gem? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I would say that without a doubt, that is an unsung gem. Yeah, I think that's a great selection. Yeah, gotta make that happen.
Yeah, I am not happy about it either.
Okay.
I like it.
I need to get back on my podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, cool. I like that.
Hey,
As much as I'll ever be.
I love that. It's a
like
solid
it.
pick.
I'm glad that we didn't do both of the low hanging fruit here, like the chess scenes or chess movies and portrayals of death.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the lowest was Bergman movies.
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's
that's
plenty
true.
of stuff we should pick for that. I mean, talk about Unsung Gems. That's probably one that we should get to at some point is Ingmar Bergman. But yeah, it was good. I think these 3 categories are fun.
Yeah.
It is indeed.
It's true.
It is indeed. Yeah.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Also, for anyone listening,
burning the midnight oil.
Yeah, exactly. I would say for anyone that wants to, I might be wrong here. Actually, I was gonna say I think Barb and Star is a directorial debut. But I think because this dude has done a bunch of like documentaries, so it's his first feature film like narrative debut. So
look, man, we make the rules, we break the rules, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly. So if anyone wants to come talk about Barb and Star, you know the place.
Holla at you boys. Well, shoot, guys, it feels weird to sign off. I almost don't want to, but I know we've all got places to go and things to do.
Yeah.
Man, well, I'll save all the sentimental stuff until our I guess season and series wrap up show, which should be coming next week.
That's next.
Yeah, wild. I don't know, guys. Still, if you're still here listening, thank you so much for being here with us, whether it's your first time or your 100th time. Really means a lot to us. This has been a really fun project that I think we are going to take the best of and roll over into something new and exciting and fresh and fun that I think you will continue to enjoy. So continue to follow us at 3 Films Pod on all the socials. That way you can stay up to date on what's going on with Unsung Gems. And as soon as you can, follow us over there. I believe we already have the handles.
Let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. If you don't like talking movies, hit Control Alt Delete.
Put out a hit.
Close your browser. Close your laptop because this isn't the show for you.
Exactly.
Okay.
Don't they know who we are? We have hundreds of followers. Well, anyways, thank you so much for being here, and we will see you next time.
Well, I was not prepared for that takeoff. Me neither. Ma'am, I apologize for screaming at the top of my lungs. What? A free magazine? What? I have got to read this interview with Don Cheadle. Oh, I love him. That reminds me, the other day I said to myself, I cannot think of a famous actress named Trish. You're kidding. That's my favorite name. What? Mine too. How have we never talked about this?